How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Massive Beer Reviews back with yet another review. And today we're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to do 2 reviews at one time. The reason why is because we are going to be tasting Weyerbacher's Barleywine. They make Blithering Idiot. It's their Barleywine, basic Barleywine, 11.1%. And we are going to be doing their Insanity, which is their bourbon barrel-aged, oak-aged barrel version of Blithering Idiot. So figured have both of them in-house. I was going to do separate reviews, and I figured why not do them both at once? Try out each one and see what the differences are. As far as Weyerbacher goes, I have a little bit of a past with Weyerbacher. I used to live in Easton, so I've actually had a decent amount of their beers. Years ago when I lived there, we're talking maybe 10 years ago, I used to go by every now and then, get pick up beer all the time because it's close, and it's a good, better brewery now than it was back in the day. But back then it was good, but it never really did anything for me. Never really blew my doors off. And then several years ago, a new brewer came in and kind of changed some things, kind of tweaked some recipes, relabeled, rebranded everything, and it seems like from there things changed a little bit for the better for me, and now I'm actually a big fan of what they do. It's in beautiful Easton, Pennsylvania, which actually I'm a big fan of. Like I said, one of my favorite beers of all time actually comes from Weyerbacher. They did do their anniversary series like a lot of brewers do. They made a Braggot Ale, not a huge kind of beer that you usually see out there, but they made a Braggot Ale. It's their 16th anniversary beer. Love that to death. Tried to save it, but drank too much of it. Now it's gone. But so we're going to be doing Weyerbacher Blithering Idiot and Weyerbacher Insanity. As far as what the bottles are, label-wise, they don't really do much for me. Weyerbacher, even though they updated their labels, kind of changed stuff around, just something about the art just doesn't do it for me. They're not bad labels, just a little bit off for my tastes. The Insanity one's a little bit cooler, but there's really not much to it. The one thing I do like about it, they're pretty nondescript. I'm a big fan of straightforward beer, and with this, it's on the Blithering Idiot side. Just says Weyerbacher Blithering Idiot Barleywine Ale, 11.1%, and that's it. Government warning, address stuff like that. On the other side, same exact thing. Weyerbacher Insanity, ale aged in oak barrels. Believe they do it in bourbon barrels. Believe they do it for 6 months, if I remember correctly from my brewery tour not too long ago. 11.1% also. So yeah, label's not awesome, but it's not bad. But kind of alright. So let's get these poured and see what we got going on here. Try a little 2-pour action, see what kind of dexterity I have going on here. I'm trying 2 different shape glasses, so this isn't science we got going on here, perfect science, but I tried to pour them in as evenly as possible. Bit more of a head on the non-barrel aged version of Blithering Idiot, to be expected when it comes to barrel aged stuff. Seems to be receding a bit. A little bit darker head on Blithering Idiot though. This is almost like off weight, whereas this is close to a beige head. A lot larger head as far as bubbles and carbonation and whatnot. Body wise, the barrel aged version looks a little bit darker. This looks lighter, but on the bottom it's a thinner glass on the bottom, so that's just letting a little bit more light through. If I look through the top, it looks very, very, very similar. More gravity, more funk and stuff floating around in the barrel aged version. But even the heads, like I said, they're quite a bit different from being poured, and even how they're settling. This one's a little bit more effervescent, a little more bubbly, whereas this one's settled down a bit, and it's almost non-existent at this point except for a little bit around the outside. So yeah, let's see what we got smell-wise. We'll go with the Blithering Idiot first, work our way up. Boozy, not a ton there. You got your malt, obviously, with your barley wines. Just a lot of malt, maybe even slightest bit of hops. That might be my brain playing tricks on me because I don't remember that when I've had this before. But malt, a little bit of yeastiness. Nothing too crazy in the nose. Still pleasant smelling beer, but nothing too crazy. It smells good though. Let's see what the barrel-aged version has to offer. Very similar in smell, but you can obviously smell a bit of barrel aging. Like I said, I'm almost positive they do them in bourbon barrels. I know they do it. I looked it up earlier. It said they do it in bourbon barrels, so I don't really smell much bourbon. I do smell oak though. It doesn't say bourbon barrel on the bottle, just says ale aged in oak barrels. So I'm not getting a ton of bourbon on it, but I am getting a decent amount of oak. And the same smells I got with the other one. Maltiness, zero that hops they smelled, maybe a little bit on this one. Non-existent on this one. Not as yeasty, just way more malty. Just a good smelling beer overall. Not as crazy intense in your, like I said, your bourbon or even your barrel aging as some barley wines tend to get, but very subtle, very nice nose on both of them. As far as dating goes, if I can get a date on these just to give you an idea of time frame, they're a month apart, so it really shouldn't affect it that much. This says it was bottled in December 2013. This says it was bottled in January of 2014, so not much difference in age. So let's see what kind of taste we got going on here. That's a Barleywine. Nice. Bit of heat. Yes, heat on there. But very good. Drinkable, not overly boozy. A little bit of a dry finish. A little bit more than what I typically am used to with barley wines when it comes to a drier finish. Dry in the finish. Not overly sweet to the point where most barley wines get that way. Decently balanced as opposed to that little bit of dryness and a little bit of heat. If you were to strip that away, which I assume we'll get with the comparison with the barrel-aged version. But it's a really nice barley wine. Not over the top, nothing too crazy. Just really nice, really good beer. I mean, it cannot be understated how easy it is to drink. Even though I said there's a dry finish and a bit of booziness, it's not over the top. So it's definitely a beer that's enjoyable. But like I said, not a ton of what you typically expect with barley wines. Your dark fruits, your raisins, your toffee, your high sugar content. Doesn't have a ton of that. It's a little bit more dialed back, but all in all, a very good beer. Let's see what the Insanity has to offer. I mean, going from this, going to that, the two biggest things that jump out at me. One, mouthfeel. This is, and I didn't discuss it before I dived into this one. This had a nice mouthfeel, nothing too crazy, not thin, not thick, but towards the thinner end. Not that it's thin, but the dividing line was the middle between thin and creamy, somewhere in between. This is not super dense, but night and day as far as mouthfeel goes. Definitely tasting the oak on it. That's the other one. I mean, like I said, bourbon barrels, they're bourbon oak barrels. No bourbon whatsoever. A ton of oak on it. Still has that dry finish to it, but not as prominent as with the Blithering Idiot. Same amount of sweetness. Still has that dry finish, like I said. More date to it, maybe. I'm tasting probably more dates on that one. Either way, it's definitely an advancement as far as taste and, like I said, mouthfeel is concerned. I mean, you can even see now, I mean, just by looking at the top, it's a little bit more readily evident as far as how the creaminess goes from looking through it and looking down into it. They're both really good beers. Like I said, I'm a fan of Weyerbacher now as opposed to back in the day. Not that I wasn't a fan, but I mean, now I actually actively search out their beers. But it's very respectable barley wine and an oak-aged barley wine. They are, I'm not sure how wide their distribution gets, but I mean, if you're a fan of barley wines and you want to try something, that's the other thing. Weyerbacher's, especially in this area, their pricing is usually, I mean, it's relatively close, but their pricing is really good as far as their beers go. And they're a nice brewery. Like I said, I went on a tour there not too long ago, and it was just a nice brewery, nice people. I talked to the brewer himself for a while, and he almost seemed like I could bend his ear for the whole night, and he would have been fine with it. Rating-wise, barley wine-wise, I'm just going to go with the, Blithering Idiot first. I'd probably put it at like a 84, 85. 85 probably. It's a good barley wine. I mean, like I said, when you're tasting it side by side, obviously you're going to want to skew it a little bit lower, just because you're tasting something that's a bit denser and robust than its little brother. But no, it's like I'm 85 it. 85 as far as overall. Availability in this area, the Blithering Idiot is usually pretty readily available year round. So I would give it availability in this area, northeastern Pennsylvania, 9. Value-wise, I can get this for $10 for a 4-pack. To me, that's pretty close to a home run. It's a stand-up triple, so we'll go another 9 on that one. The Insanity is a little bit rarer as far as availability goes. It's not rare. It just comes out and it seems like they probably don't produce as much of this as they do of this. So on availability scale, I would give it like a 6, just because when it does come out, I can get it. But then as the months roll on, I believe it comes out January, February. As the months roll on, it seems like it's a little bit harder to find. So, I mean, I did grab a 6-pack, or a 4-pack, sorry, yesterday. So, I mean, we're talking July and I can still get it, but I mean, it's the only 2 places I know I can get it. It's not as readily available as it was back in the day, or back earlier in the year. As far as value goes, I think I paid $15.99, so $16 for a 4-pack. It's definitely a better beer. It's $6 more 4-pack better. That's up for debate. So on a value scale, I'm not going to give it a 9. I'd probably give it like a 7 to 8, somewhere right around there. It's still very nice pricing wise, but if it was more like a $14 instead of like if this is 10 and this is 14, it'd probably be up to the 9 range for me. So overall, going to go 85 for this. Overall, as far as barley wine goes, I'm going to give it a 90. I'm going to give this one a 90. So 85 and a 90. That's what barrel aging does for you. It's really good by itself, but obviously barrel age is going to be better. I mean, you would argue that, but most people are going to be like that. It's great for what it is. It's a really good barley wine, really easy to drink. And for availability, you're going to go 9. You're going to go, what did I say, 7? And then for for cost effectiveness, for value, you're gonna go 9 on this, and I'm gonna go with 7.5 on this one. So yeah, Weyerbacher's barley wine line, Blithering Idiot, Insanity, both really good beers. If you're fans of the style, I personally would recommend checking them out from beautiful Easton, Pennsylvania. Yeah, so there you go. Another review in our books. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, gripes, concerns, whatever, you can leave them in the comments section below. If you would like to check us out on the internet and various other places. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Massive Beers. And yeah, there you go. Another one down. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you watch the others. Hopefully you share. And hopefully we see you next time. Cheers.